Understanding and tracking your net worth is the best bang for your buck when it comes to time spent versus helpful info you can take away when it comes to your own money. It's helped me stay motivated over the years and makes the discipline of saving and investing feel actually worth it. This video will show you my template, how to use it, and what it's telling you. It will also be a build tutorial for you if you want to see how I made it, and then you can make your own. This will be great for you if you understand, like in theory, that spreadsheets are handy, but you don't actually know how to make something like this. You don't know how to go from like kind of a concept of I want to do this thing and actually build yourself a little model. It's not complicated, so you can do it, and it's only going to take a few minutes to set up, so feel free to pull out your tablet or your laptop or whatever and follow along if you're into that sort of thing. As a refresher, what's net worth telling us? Net worth is telling us what your money and your most valuable things are as a whole, minus the things you owe. So it's taking the positives in your money life, subtracting out the negatives, and giving you one single figure that you can track. How much money do you have versus how much debt? How much do you own in your house value versus how much mortgage do you still owe? It kind of does all that math, puts it in one number, super easy to track. Sometimes people don't include things like houses or cars because they aren't actually money or investments or things that have that kind of equity that can like help you retire, but they do play a role whenever we have debt on our house and debt on our car and value in those things. So for me, I keep track of two different numbers: overall net worth, including everything, houses, cars, all that. Well, for us, house, cars, and all of our money and stuff. And then the second one is just our invested net worth, aka total of our investments and money. And the way I just think about net worth is it's the one line financial progress statement. It's one number. Negative net worth, probably bad. Zero net worth, you're getting things started. Okay, you're kind of a blank slate here. Positive net worth, good. Increasing net worth, really good. The average net worth of Americans is actually pretty high, but median net worth is kind of depressingly low. And I made a video literally all about that exact subject. So check that out after this one. I'll link it at the very end. It'll be a little box that pops up by my head, and I'll put it in the description to you so you can find it. All right, here it is. This is my template. And as I promised, it's very simple, right? No crazy formulas or formatting. If you wanted to, you could always make this more complicated, but for now, it's this basic one. So how do we look at this, especially if you're not used to like spreadsheets and interpreting someone else's stuff? It's really handy to have someone kind of show you what it's supposed to be. So on the far left column here, you have the time. Like for me, I'm only really going to track it once a month. So I just represent each month down that first column. Then across the top, each other column is like the account that you have, like a bank account or your investment accounts or the debt that you owe. And so each column is one account. The total is on the very far right, and it's kind of the only formula in the whole thing right now, and it just adds everything up for you. So what you do is you update one row per month, and that's it. You're done. You go through and say, checking has this much, saving has this much, investment has that much, debt, we owe that much. Boom, that's it. If you get a new account at some point, you can just add another column and then make sure and double check the formula so it still works, and you're good. And then just because I'm a sucker for charts, on this second tab, I've added a kind of a simple chart here so that you can track what your one net worth number is doing over time. On the vertical axis here, what it's showing you is your net worth number, and on the horizontal axis, it's showing you time. So depending on your numbers and how kind of in depth you want to get, maybe you need to change the scale of this, because if you're like at a negative 10,000 and over the next year you go to a positive 10,000, you might want that scale to be really tight so you can see the movements, and you could set it up to be that range from negative 10,000 to positive 10,000. But if you're like already a millionaire or you have a bigger net worth, you probably want to have more of a zoomed out view so you can see the total numbers. For anybody though, the goal here is for it to be going up from left to right, and basically as steeply as possible. The steeper it is and the more it is, the more you're adding to your net worth. So that's great. All right, let's go over a build tutorial for this thing. So I'm just adding in the different potential account types across the top here, account 1, account 2, and you can come in and edit those names whenever you get in and make your own copy of this. But I'm assuming you might have something like a house and a car and multiple different debt accounts that you'll want to be tracking. If you want to, you can always come in and delete a column. So don't feel like you have to necessarily keep everything the way it is, but feel free to change it however you want. So what I'm doing here is just adding in some basic formatting, and I want you to have a row underneath the name in case you wanted to add any kind of notes or a description of the account, because if I call one like Chase Bank, then maybe I don't remember which Chase Bank account that is. So that first box can be the account, or you can leave it named account 1, and then the second one down below that could just be, hey, this is the note, this is the description. I added a column here to the left so that we can have kind of a starting point, and then what I've done is frozen the first column and then frozen the top 2 rows. So freeze is just a term that means that whenever you're scrolling around, those stay there. And this is a really cool thing if you're new to spreadsheets. I love doing this for an account like this because maybe you end up scrolling down a long way because you're doing this for like 3 years. It'll still show you that account 1, account 2, account 3 line so that you know which it is. You don't kind of lose track that way. And then then I'm doing this on my iPad, so I can't do some of the advanced features you can do on your laptop. So now all I'm doing is manually typing in the dates for a little while so that we can go ahead and track these. And I forgot that it's going to be 22. Wow. Can you imagine? 2022 feels like the future. How many people are going to get married on February 22nd, 2022? I'll bet you that wedding date for all the venues and stuff is already booked. If you're watching this and it's before that date, it's already booked. Don't even think about it. Start looking into like whatever that would be. Like March 23rd of 2023. That'll be the next one. So I'm kind of hoping that we all use this for a while. Typing in all these dates, and you could just write this in a different way if you want to. You could write October, November, December. I typically use dates like this just because that's the way I like to think. And I would update this potentially on the first day of the month, but it really doesn't matter. The point of this whole thing isn't to get so detailed and so mired in the weeds that we have to necessarily update it on the same day every month, or we have to be hyper precise. Like, we're just showing an overall change over time. So if you set this up to where, okay, next month you input everything on the 1st, and then the month after that you forget about it and it takes you till the 15th to update it, that's fine. It's not a big deal. It's still worth doing. All right, so this is kind of the overall view. We'll just put some sample amounts in here. I don't want to like disqualify anybody by putting in some overly large or overly small amounts, but for the sake of things, we'll just say here's some amounts. For house, what I mean is the equity in your house, so like what your house is worth, and the same thing with your car. And then you would put the mortgage, the remaining balance on your mortgage, on one of these debt columns. So the first area is things that are worth money. The last few columns that start with the word debt are meant to be negatives, like you owe money. So what you can do here is type in equals sign and then the little dash or the minus and then the number, just so that then the spreadsheet knows that this is a negative number. And then what I'm doing is highlighting all the potential rows that I might use in any kind of foreseeable future here so that I can format them all the same way. And I'll just go down to an arbitrary number. Like I went down to row number 100 just because I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. I might do 100 months of updates here. Why not? And then you can click on that little A box and click into formatting and tell it, hey, I want you to format this like currency or accounting or whatever kind of makes sense to you. It looks a little bit prettier to me to do that, so it's not an essential thing. You could leave it as just positive numbers and negative numbers, but this way it shows that it's money. And then the negative numbers, if you look under the debt columns, those are in parentheses. And then the final column is your total. So that formula is pretty simple. It's just equals and then the sum of everything in that row. So you don't include the date. Obviously, that's not your money. That's just the date. But the formula will then just add up all those numbers. That's my reason behind having the debts be negative numbers, is then you can write a simpler formula. So you write the formula as equals sum, add these all up. So because it's adding up the negative number, it's automatically going to do the subtraction for you, where if you didn't write it that way, then you would have to go add these ones up, the first 6 or whatever, and then subtract those ones out, and that just gets a little bit muddy. So I like trying to keep the formula really simple so that all you're really worried about is, am I including all the boxes I need to include? And then you'll be good. So now I'm just copying, pasting that formula all the way down so that it's duplicating it, so that now it will automatically update whenever you put in a new number. And you can see I'm kind of optimistic here about what it might look like for you to track your net worth, because over the course of a month, your net worth has actually grown a lot because you've saved and invested more and you've paid off some debt. So way to go, future person. Pretty cool. So the way I foresee anyone using this is coming in each month, having your account balance or your current like payoff on your house, current payoff on your car, and just entering it in. So my goal is to keep this as simple and impactful as possible so that you're not spending a lot of time on it, because whenever things are too hard or too complicated, we just don't do it. To reiterate, the formula looks like this: sum of B3 through M3, and whenever it has something on it like this that says B3 colon, is that the right term? Colon M3, that's saying everything between those 2 points. So if you're new to spreadsheets, you don't have to type out B3, comma, C3, comma, D3, comma. Like whenever it's all in a line like that, or even whenever it's like in a grid, you can just do kind of the start point and the end point, and as long as you put a comma in between those two names, then it will fill in all the blanks for you. So that's the simplest way. Then if we go down, then it should be the same letter, because we're talking about the same columns. We're just going a row down from there. So B4 to M4, the next one down, row number 5, B5 to M5, and so on, all the way down. You would know if this didn't work anymore, if the formula didn't work, if it came up as an error. Or let's say over here on the right side, right next to the total, let's say you add another column between M and N, and then you check the formula and it's still the same one, like B3 to M3, but you have a new column in there, then you go, well, this isn't encompassing the whole row. So all you want to do is make sure that the start point is all the way to the left, the end point is all the way to the right, and it has all the the columns in there that you've put in, or you can just manually check it, like with the calculator, check it once and make sure your formula is right, and you'll be good to go. There are services that do this for you. There's automated services. There's issues with those though. So you might be looking at this going, why would I update this myself whenever I can just link my accounts to Mint or Personal Capital or any number of other ones? I have a review coming out very soon about Personal Capital, and it's got some general qualms about those kind of services. So stay tuned for that, because I do have problems with those services. I don't have problems with this besides the fact that it's a time commitment, and that's significant. That kind of sucks, but at least you're in control here, and you don't have any of those problems. So stay tuned to figure out what the problems are. I am not the most tech savvy person when it comes to like sharing stuff online. So my goal for this is going to be to just create a copy of it online that you can click on and view. And then if I understand this right, you won't be able to actually like edit the one that's online. You'll have to click in like the top right corner and hit make a copy. And if you make a copy for yourself, then it'll put a copy of this document in your own Google system. So in your own Google Drive. If that's not working, if something is happening to where that fails for you, then leave me a comment, because I might have to change the permission on this. But also, if you just build one on your own after watching the build tutorial, then you don't even need my help with that. This is a pretty different video from most of them I make. I have a lot of these really simple spreadsheets in my life that I like to use to track different things or to just do some math for me. And so I didn't necessarily intend for this video to be a thing, but I thought, hey, if anybody wants to make their own, it's worth going through a really quick kind of simple tutorial. If this is something that you really like or that you want more of, then please let me know. Or if it's something that you hate, let me know too, because I don't want to make more of these if you don't like it. But kind of a change of pace for me. So thanks for watching. See you next time.